Hello, this is Dr. Kamani, licensed clinical psychologist, and I want to ask you, are you practicing DEI Light? DEI Light was a term that one of my panelists, Yvonne Austin, talked about. So I'm just going to just share some few thoughts with you or ask you a few questions so that you'll be able to assess if you are practicing DEI Light, okay? So when I talk about DEI Light, I'm referring to DEI Light in your professional and your personal worlds. Okay. So just ask yourself these questions. Number one, are there certain terms that make you uncomfortable or that you ask others not to talk about, namely white supremacy? So if the word white supremacy comes up, do you try to avoid that term and or do you encourage or say to other people not to use that term because it might make other people uncomfortable? Okay, that's one question. Number two, in terms of how to tell if you're practicing DEI light, okay, is if you are centering other people in terms of their comfort level. So are you not doing things? Are you not saying things? Are you not bringing up certain issues because it may make people uncomfortable? So in essence, are you centering whiteness? And when we think about are you centering whiteness, that is a reflection of white supremacy. So you are engaging in white supremacist behaviors if you engage in that behavior. Number three, are you having some type of reaction? You feel uncomfortable yourself with just the mention of anti-Blackness. That just makes you feel really uncomfortable. Number four, when people talk about anti-Blackness, you feel the urge or the need to talk about other oppressed groups in terms of let's throw in some other oppressed populations here because we can't just talk about anti-Blackness. So there's this reaction to the word anti-Blackness in the sense that if you say anti-Black, there's this reaction to try to shut that down. Okay. So again, I'm just going over some possible ways you can assess if you are practicing DEI light in your professional and or personal life, okay? So it's important to keep these things in mind. So DEI light and performative diversity kind of go along together. So I've done a lot of panels talking about stop playing diversity, and my Spelman sister, Dr. Monica Cox, came up with the term stop playing diversity. So Diversity Light, Stop Playing Diversity, they are similar, very similar. Okay. So another thing is when people talk about anti-Blackness, do you feel the urge or do you tell people that's enough? Like, let's stop talking about this, it's too much. Or if there's too much focus on Black people, it just makes you uncomfortable and you just want to shut it down. Okay. So again, I'm just sharing some questions in terms of some curiosities that I have come up with, as I've heard more people talk about being in the DEI space, and really thinking about if you have answered yes to any of these questions, there's a high likelihood that you are playing diversity light, okay? And when I talk about playing, it's you're not getting in there and not recognizing that true anti-racist work, no one is comfortable. It's all hands on deck because we're talking about dismantling and transformative work. So if you are engaged in playing, I invite you to really think about really doing the work, not talking the talk, right? No more book clubs. We can have some book clubs, but not only book clubs. But what is the work that you're doing to back up what you're saying? And are you centering or are you engaging in white supremacist behaviors in the sense that people can't even call a thing a thing? So as Iyanla Vanzant says, call a thing a thing. So if you're preventing people from even saying what is happening, then we're all deluding ourselves by not calling out what is going on in our systems. So again, as I talked about toxic jobs, I talked about Black women in toxic jobs. When we don't talk about what is really going on, we are focusing on the individual. So we're focusing on implicit bias. We're focusing on all these individual things, but we're not looking at the system. So the systemic issues, the white supremacist behaviors and actions that permeate all of our systems, if we can't even name it, how can we address it? If we can't name it, how do we dismantle it? So my hope is that if you recognize that you are practicing DEI light, if you are engaging in performative diversity work, that you check yourself. You check yourself and you get the support you need. You do consultation and not just one training, not like, oh, I went to the cultural competency training, check, that's it. No, it involves ongoing training, consultation, self reflection, and self action. It's not just you're aware, it is what are you actually doing? Okay. So I just want to just come on and just ask you these questions. And again, my hope is that you are engaging in anti racist behaviors. And if you are engaging in anti racist um, comments, that you are following up with the actual behaviors and that you are not so fearful of calling out a thing a thing. You are not fearful of calling out white supremacy for what it is, because if we are not doing that, then we are playing. We are not calling out for what it is. It is hard to dismantle what you can't even say. Okay, that's all I want to say. Okay, so I'm signing off. And again, all hands on deck. We're all in this. We all have to do something about it. It's not just an individual level. Okay. So thank you for tuning in. If you have not already subscribed to my channel, please do so on YouTube, Lifting Us We Climb Consulting Wellness Services. Take care.